My two sons spent their entire youth in superhero pajamas. And at 3.5 years old, my youngest son comes zipping into the kitchen in his Superman outfit with his cape just a-flying. And he says, "Shh, Mom, do you have supervision?" I said, "Well, honey, I have incredible eyesight, but I would not consider it supervision." And he said, "Mom, does Dad have supervision?" I said, "No, honey, Dad wears glasses. He certainly wouldn't qualify." And then he says, "Mom, do we know anybody who has supervision?" I said, "Well, the superheroes have supervision, but we don't really know any of them personally." And he says, "Well, then how on earth are we ever going to do these things that require adult supervision?" So if we fast forward just 15 very short years, that son is now graduating, and so is his mother. And at this point in my journey, I feel absolutely certain that I am literally being pulled towards my mission, which is to either start a foundation or be a very large part of a foundation that will not only save the lives of children, but will change the thought patterns of our children, of our youth. So it's a big plan. It's unlike anything that's ever been done before. You see, I believe that we can break unhealthy generational cycles. I believe that we can build self-esteem and self-worth at the same time. And I believe that we can offer extremely non-traditional pathways to success so that every child, regardless of where they started their day, where they started their life, or whether they can afford a college education or not, can enjoy success. It's big. And I guess you need to call it a supervision. And it is my life's mission. But who am I? I mean, I would say that I'm just an average person, but I taught my kids to never use that word to describe themselves, because average is just as close to the bottom as it is the top. And I could say that I'm a normal woman, but God and my friends and my kids know that is just not true. But in any case, here I am here, and my mission to empower our youth is over there. So how does little old me get from here to over there? So have you ever had what you thought was this really great idea or invention, or you have this mission and you think to yourself, I don't even know where to start. This is big. This is out of my field. It's not my expertise. I don't have the funds. And this is what I say. I don't have the funds. I don't have the volunteers. And you can ask my kids. I do not have the computer skills necessary to move even inch forward. Okay? So I think to myself of all these obstacles, and let's face it, I'm a woman in her late 30s who's just now getting started. Well, that was not supposed to be funny. But in any case, if this is midlife for me, I am absolutely thrilled with how long I'm going to live. So when you come against all these obstacles, you just think to yourself, you should quit, or maybe I shouldn't go for this. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We just have to find a vehicle that'll get us from here to over there. You see, and a lot of times it can be a very non-traditional vehicle, as I'm going to demonstrate tonight. So as you think about your own invention, your own mission, or some idea that has come to you, think about the steps that I took that got me from here to over there. Now, I believe there are only 3 short and simple steps that'll get you anywhere you need to go in this life. And everybody knows MVP. Most valuable player. The way you'll remember this is it's MVB. The first step is to marinate it. Now, what does that mean? What that means is when an idea comes to you, it will flow through the universe. You know, it just comes to you out of nowhere. And you have all this rushing at you, and it is so important that you claim it. You zip it down. You write it down just as quickly as you possibly can. It won't even make any sense at first. You zip it down. You claim it. And the reason why you do that is because haven't you ever had an idea and you let it flee, you let it go away. 2 years later, you see a billboard and there's your idea or your concept sitting right there on that billboard. And you say, I thought about that 2 years ago. Well, that's because you didn't claim it. It came to you, but you didn't claim it. write it down, and put it in what I call the marinating tank. Now, what is that? That is a place where all ideas are held. In my case, I use the notes on my smartphone. You might have a special notebook that you use. So when you get it all straightened out, all the words and all the things that you had that just came and flowed through you, you study them. You talk to friends, you talk to business associates, you research the stew out of it, and then you just put it in your marinating tank and let it marinate. Now, it won't be any time at all, and you'll get a nudge from the universe. It'll be in the form of a book. There'll be a person on the exact same path as you. And by the way, that is not a coincidence. You will learn, all right? Or it could be an idea that just comes to you when you're riding down the interstate. In my case, it was a person who needed the foundation that I was trying to establish in the first place. He pushed me a little farther. So I brought it back out of the marinating tank every time something came to me. I mixed it up, I asked some more questions, I researched some more, mixed it all around, and put it back in the marinating tank. 2 years later, plus or minus, I'm in the gym, and I'm exercising. And I'm listening to YouTube University. Now, that's what we call it in our household. You're there to exercise, cut the music off, and put YouTube on, okay? So I'm exercising, listening to YouTube, and all of a sudden, I come across these little things called TED Talks. Wow, wow. And I said to myself, I said, Self, and Self said, I said, that is one gigantic platform. And Self said, you know, Melissa, if you were to get on that platform or utilize that platform as a vehicle, maybe you could come across a foundation that was already established, a charity that's already established and has funds. You could present that idea that's been in your marinating tank for 2 years now that can empower our youth. And I said, you know, you're right. And she said, girl, I know I'm right. She said, listen, somebody has to do those little 18-minute or less talks, and it might as well be us. So on that very day, I made the TED Talk stage my life's mission. I knew that if I could get little old me over here, over to that stage, I could also get the partners, the funding, and everything else that I would need to be able to get my idea out of the marinating tank and empower our youth. So that day, I go home, and I decided I was just bold enough, just naive enough, and just driven enough in my purpose to just go for it. And I did. And that's the reason why I'm here tonight. I literally manifested a TED Talk or brought it about. Would you like to know how I did that? Good, good. So, our second step, the V, is to visualize the victory. And here comes the most important sentence that I'm going to tell you tonight. If you want anything, and I mean anything in this lifetime, you have to see and feel it done already. Think about it. A computer, a car, a light bulb did not fall out of the sky. Someone had to visualize it first, didn't they? And they had to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was on its way. And they didn't give up until it was there. So I knew the very first step, the very first thing I had to do when I came home that day was to visualize the victory. And that's exactly what I did. I went to lie down, and I saw myself walking out onto the TED stage from behind. I saw the lights up front, and I saw the giant red carpet that I was walking out onto. And then I saw myself leaving the stage. Now, what I did not care about is the topic that I discussed that night or my performance that night. The only thing I cared about was the fact that I saw and I felt it done already. And then when I was leaving the stage, I actually saw myself practically scooting, almost running off the stage because I was so excited. And I had brought my two now grown sons with me, and they were standing right off stage waiting for me. And I saw the look on their face. I saw the pride in their eyes. And I knew that I was headed straight for them, and they were waiting for me. I saw it. And I felt it. I visualized the victory that night. So that was the second step. The third step, and this is my very favorite part, is to take bold action steps towards making sure that your mission stays alive. You can put it in the marinating tank and you can pull it out every once in a while, but if you really want to push it forward, if you really want to bring your mission, your product to life, you have to keep it in front of your face every single day, all day long. So I had to come up with some ideas, some ways to keep it in my presence, to keep it in my face all the time. So think about your mission, think about your goal as you think about just a few of the things that I did to make certain that this night would come to pass. The very first thing I did after I finished visualizing was I went to tape the clapping at the beginning of every TED Talk. It's a signature, and that's the way it always starts. I taped that. I went to Amazon.com, and I ordered my very own TED red carpet. So I taped the clapping, and I plopped my butt down onto this carpet, and I visualized my victory. I saw it every day. At night before I went to sleep, I heard the clapping. In the morning when I woke up, guess what I turned on? The clapping. I put TED in red lipstick on my mirrors in my bathroom. I wore red lipstick. I ordered red jewelry. I was going to seminars. I was listening to TED Talks constantly. Anything that I could do to make sure that it was in front of my face is what I had to do. People, you have to be married to your concept, to your cause. It is your lifetime commitment. It is your baby, and you will defend it at all costs. It is constantly in your face, and it is constantly on its way. You have to know for a fact it's on its way. So let me explain just how bold of an action I took. I rented a theater and I invited 50 friends out. I bribed them with beer and wine and hors d'oeuvres. And I asked them to be my TED audience. I did a fake TED Talk in front of all of them. I used the energy of all of my friends that night. And I told them that about the M, the V, and the B. And I told them about all the bold actions that I had taken to make sure that my mission stayed in front of my face and stayed alive. And then I explained to them how 6 months, 8 days, and 15 hours later, I received a call from a man with a British accent. And he said, "Hello, may I speak with Melissa Twigg?" And I said, "This is she." And he said, "This is Chris Anderson from TED Talks." And I said, "Well, I know it is. And I'm just wondering what took you so long. I've been anticipating and expecting your call." I explained to them how he and I had a nice conversation, and then I begged him to send all the information to my email because I was flipping out. As soon as I hung up the phone, I explained to them how I jumped in circles and I was crying profusely. I called my sons on the phone and I said, "Son, I manifested a TED Talk." And they said, "Mom, that is so cool." I called my girlfriends and I said, "I manifested a TED Talk." And one girlfriend said, "What is manifested?" And another girlfriend said, "What's a TED Talk?" I called my parents, I called my teachers, I called my classmates. And I was as excited. It was one of the best days of my entire life. And I did not sleep for 49 hours after I got that call. I did all that night. I made believe, I role played. I made a fool out of myself. But here's my view on embarrassment. It's either quick to fade, or it makes for one hell of a story at cocktail hour or at a funeral. Right? Or in the retirement home. I'm telling you right now, anybody that ends up in the retirement home with me is going to think they have won the flipping lotto. Because I have tried many bold experiments, tried to do all kind of fun things. Sometimes they worked out, sometimes they didn't. But listen, the experiences are priceless and the stories are rich, let me tell you. So I used the energy of all my friends that night, and it literally put me on a magic carpet. Because I had explained to them how it had been 6 months and 8 days later. But the truth is, after I got the talk done, put it on YouTube, made a web page, 19 weeks later, in my inbox, there is a letter from Ted. The Ted, looking for their 2019 fellows. I don't have any idea how that got in my mailbox, but I promised myself that I would not be surprised. And as soon as I finished pinching myself, I gathered up my advisors, I gathered up coaches, and then I called my friends again, and this time I didn't even have to bribe them with beer and wine. I mean, there comes a point when they just want to know what the hell you're up to now. And they come out anyway. And that's exactly what they did. We got it edited, we got it videoed, we sent it in, and this, my friends, is no longer a visualization. It is no longer role-playing. I am here. We are here tonight. And as I speak, I am attracting the partners, the new tribe, the charity or the foundation that needs my idea, that wants to take it and run with it and change the lives of youth. I just know, but I know it. So if you have an idea that's just itching, it keeps wanting to come out of you, do your marinating. Put it in the marinating tank. Mix it up. Do your visualization. It had to be visualized at some point, and then boldly step into it. Do things you never thought you would do so you can get results that you never thought that you would get. You may have that idea worth sharing that can change the world for the better. So if you'll excuse me, I have two very handsome young men who are waiting right backstage for me, just like I visualized over and over and over again. Thank you so much.